Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. So today we're going to do a deep dive into something we all do every single day. And it's really important when you're learning a new language like English.
Yeah.
And there's our routines, the things we do every day. And, we'll see that weekdays look different from weekends, but I think we're going to learn a lot.
Definitely. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
So let's imagine like a normal weekday.
Yeah.
When you wake up, like, what's the first thing that happens?
Well, the first thing is you wake up, your alarm clock rings.
Yeah.
And you open your eyes.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
What happens next?
You get up, you leave your bed, and maybe you stretch a little bit just to wake up your body.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
But what about the bathroom?
So you go to the bathroom, you wash your face, you brush your teeth.
And then you take a shower.
Yes. You take a shower to start the day.
Right.
You use shampoo and conditioner for your hair. You use body wash for your skin.
Mm-hmm. Then you dry off and you get dressed.
What about breakfast?
So you go to the kitchen.
Okay.
You make breakfast. Maybe you have toast with butter and jam.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe some cereal with milk.
Yeah.
Some people like eggs.
Yeah.
And of course, you need your coffee or tea.
Oh, yeah. Coffee's good.
Yeah.
Helps me wake up in the morning. Okay, so you're dressed, you've had breakfast. What happens next?
Well, you check your phone for any messages,
Mm-hmm.
and then you leave for work.
Okay. Let's say you take the bus to work.
Okay.
What happens when you arrive?
When you arrive, you get to the office, you say hello to your colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
you sit down at your desk, and you start planning your tasks for the day.
And then you check your email.
Of course, you check your email.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a meeting or two,
Okay.
and then it's time for a little coffee break.
Everybody needs a coffee break.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about lunch?
So for lunch, you could eat at your desk,
Mm-hmm.
or you could go out with your colleagues. It's nice to relax and talk to your colleagues.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. So the morning is over. What about the afternoon?
In the afternoon, you might have more meetings,
Okay.
or you could focus on doing your work. Maybe you have to answer emails or talk to your teammates. And you have another snack break.
Another snack break.
Of course.
Sounds like a busy afternoon.
Yeah.
What time do you finish work?
Let's say you finish work around 5:00 p.m.
Okay.
You say goodbye to your colleagues, you leave the office, and you take the bus back home.
Home at last.
Yes.
What do you do when you get home?
So when you get home, you relax for a bit. Maybe you change into some comfy clothes.
Yes.
You check your messages to see what's new.
What about dinner?
So around 7:00, you start thinking about dinner. Maybe you cook a simple meal like pasta,
Hmm?
or you could order takeout. And after dinner, you wash the dishes.
Sounds pretty good.
Sure.
What do you do after dinner?
After dinner, you could watch some TV.
Okay.
You could read a book, or maybe you have a hobby like painting or playing games.
So you relax and you enjoy your free time.
Exactly.
Okay. What about bedtime?
Bedtime. So around 10:30, you start getting ready for bed.
What's your bedtime routine look like?
First, you brush your teeth and you wash your face. You put on your pajamas, and then maybe you do some stretches or some yoga just to relax.
Okay.
And you set your alarm for tomorrow morning.
Of course. Can't forget that one.
No.
All right. And
Then you turn off the lights and go to sleep.
sounds like a good way to end the day,
Yeah.
but that's just a weekday, right?
Yeah.
What about the weekends? Are they different?
Weekends are more relaxed. You don't have to work.
Yeah.
You can sleep in later. You can have a bigger breakfast.
Nice. What kind of things do people do on the weekends?
People do lots of different things on the weekends. Some people like to go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Others meet their friends or spend time with their family.
Yeah.
You could also do some chores around the house or just relax at home.
That's great. But I'm curious about something. We use all these verbs to talk about routines,
Uh-huh.
like wake up and get up.
Yes.
Can you explain those a bit more?
Yeah, sure. So wake up just means you open your eyes after sleeping,
Okay.
and get up means you stand up and leave your bed.
I see.
They're different, but they both happen at the beginning of the day.
That makes sense. What about other verbs like the ones we use in the bathroom?
Oh, yeah. So in the bathroom, you brush your teeth
Mm.
and wash your face. You can also take a shower or have a bath to get clean.
And then you get dressed?
You get dressed, you choose your clothes, and you put them on. And you can also use put on for just one thing, like put on your shoes.
Okay, I get it.
Oh.
And then you go to work or go to school.
Yes, exactly.
We use have for meals, right?
Yeah. You have breakfast, you have lunch, you have dinner.
We also talked about chores like cleaning the house.
Yes. Chores are all the things you have to do around the house, like washing the dishes or making the bed.
Mm.
It's important to do chores to keep your house clean.
Of course.
Yeah.
And after doing chores, it's nice to just relax and unwind.
Yes, relaxing is very important.
This is also helpful. I'm starting to get how to talk about my day in English.
Oh,
But there's one more thing I'm wondering about. How can we say how often we do these things?
oh yeah.
Like, I always brush my teeth, or I sometimes go to the gym.
Right. We use special words called adverbs of frequency to talk about how often we do things.
Adverbs of frequency. Can you tell us more about those?
Sure. So let's start with always. Always means you do something every time. Like, I always have coffee in the morning.
So if I say, I always brush my teeth before bed, that means I never forget.
Exactly. You brush your teeth every night. Then we have usually. Usually means you do something most of the time, but not always.
So I could say, I usually have cereal for breakfast, but sometimes I have something else.
That's perfect. And then we have often. Often means you do something many times, but not as much as usually.
So like, I often go for walks in the park, but maybe not every day.
Right, exactly. And sometimes means you do something occasionally, but not regularly.
Like I sometimes go to the cinema,
Yeah.
but not every weekend.
Yes. And then we have rarely, which means you almost never do something.
Okay, so I rarely eat fast food.
Right.
It's not something I do very often. And then finally, never. Never means you don't do something at all.
That's right.
So I never skip breakfast. I always eat something in the morning.
That's great. Those are all great examples.
Awesome. I think I'm getting the hang of these adverbs of frequency.
Yeah, you're doing great.
This is fantastic.
Mm.
I feel like I'm learning so much about how to talk about my day in English.
Good.
But we've covered a lot already. Maybe we should take a little break and come back and explore some more interesting things about daily routines.
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay, we'll be right back after a short break.
Sounds good. You know, it's interesting how even simple words can make such a big difference when you're learning a new language.
I know, it really is. It's like putting puzzle together one word at a time.
That's a great way to put it. And speaking of puzzles, did you know that routines are kind of like puzzles too?
What do you mean?
Well, each part of a routine fits together to create the whole picture of someone's day.
Oh, I see. Like how we talked about breakfast and then going to work and then having dinner.
Mm,
All those things fit together to make a normal day.
exactly. And just like puzzles can be different, routines can be different too.
Yeah, that's right. And we were just talking about how weekends are different from weekdays
Right.
when people have more free time.
Yeah. And you know what's really interesting is like routines can be different in different parts of the world too.
Really? I never thought about that. So maybe people in other countries have very different routines from us.
Oh, yeah. It's fascinating. For example, in some countries, people always take a nap in the afternoon.
A nap in the middle of the day. That sounds amazing.
It is because a siesta, and it helps people relax and recharge before they go back to work.
Wow. I'd love to try that. I bet their afternoon routine is much more relaxed than ours.
Probably. Yeah. And think about meal times. In some cultures, people eat dinner much later in the evening than we do.
So instead of having dinner at like 6 or 7, they might eat at 9 or 10.
Exactly. It's all about their culture and what's normal for them.
That's so cool. I want to learn more about routines in other countries. It's like taking a peek into their lives.
You should. It can teach you a lot about different cultures.
So we talked about adverbs of frequency like always and never.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think people use those words differently in other countries too?
That's a great question. Maybe always means something different in a culture where life is less structured.
Yeah, that's something to think about. I guess even simple words can have different meanings depending on where you are.
It's all part of the fun of learning about languages and cultures. It's like discovering a whole new world.
I'm starting to realize that routines are more than just things we do every day. They tell us a lot about ourselves and the world around us.
They really do. They help us understand how people live, work, and spend their time.
And they can also show us what's important to people in different cultures.
Exactly. Routines are a window into different ways of life.
This deep dive is making me see routines in a whole new light. It's like we're peeling back the layers and discovering all these hidden meanings.
It's like we're detectives.
Yes, routine detectives.
We're finding clues about people and cultures by looking at their daily lives.
I like that. And the best part is there's always more to learn.
That's the beauty of it. There's always something new to discover.
Well, this conversation has been so enlightening. I feel like I'm ready to go out and explore the world of routines even more.
I'm glad to hear that.
But before we wrap up, I have one last thought. We've talked a lot about different routines, but how do we create our own routines?
That's a fantastic question, and it leads us to a really important part of this deep dive, the power of choice. You see, even though routines can feel automatic, we actually have a lot of control over how we structure our days.
So even though we might have things we have to do like work or school, we can still make choices about how we spend our time.
Exactly, and those choices reflect our values and priorities.
I see what you mean. Like if someone values exercise, they'll probably make time for it in their routine.
Right, and someone who loves reading might make sure they have some quiet time in their day to enjoy a book.
So creating a routine isn't just about scheduling activities. It's about making choices that align with what's important to us.
Precisely. And the best part is we can always adjust and tweak our routines as our lives change or our priorities shift.
This is so empowering. It means we have the power to design our days in a way that supports our well-being and helps us achieve our goals.
It's like being the architect of your own life.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
But with so much freedom and flexibility, it can also feel a bit overwhelming. Where do we even begin when it comes to creating a routine that works for us?
That's a great question. And it leads us to some practical tips and strategies for building a successful routine.
Okay, I'm ready to take notes. Yeah. Give us the inside scoop on how to create a routine that's both effective and enjoyable.
Well, first, it's helpful to think about your goals and priorities.
So ask ourselves what we want to achieve and what's most important to us.
Exactly. Then take a look at your current schedule and see where you can make adjustments.
Maybe there are pockets of time that could be used more effectively, or activities that could be shifted around.
Right. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try different things and see what works best for you. What works for one person may not work for another.
That's a good point. We all have different needs and preferences.
Exactly. And remember, building a new routine takes time and effort.
It's like building any new habit. Consistency and patience are key.
Precisely. But with a little bit of planning and dedication, you can create a routine that helps you feel more organized, productive, and fulfilled.
This is such valuable advice. I'm feeling inspired to take a closer look at my own routine and see where I can make some positive changes.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, creating a routine that works for you is an ongoing journey. It's not about achieving perfection, but rather about finding a rhythm that supports your well-being and helps you live your best life.
I couldn't have said it better myself. This deep dive has been so insightful. We've explored the structure of daily routines, the essential vocabulary for describing them, the role of adverbs of frequency, the fascinating cultural influences that shape them, and now the power of choice in crafting our own routines.
It's been a pleasure exploring these concepts with you.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question. We've talked about routines as a way to structure our days, but what about the role of spontaneity?
That's an excellent point. While routines provide stability and predictability, it's equally important to allow for spontaneity and flexibility in our lives.
So finding a balance between structure and freedom is key.
Exactly. Sometimes the most memorable moments happen when we break away from our usual routines and embrace the unexpected.
I love that idea. It's a reminder that life is full of surprises, and that sometimes the best adventures are the ones we don't plan for. So as you go about your day, pay attention to your own routines and consider how you can create a balance between structure and spontaneity that works for you. Maybe try something new, shake things up a bit, or simply allow yourself to be open to whatever the day brings.
And remember, even in the midst of our busy lives, there's always room for a little bit of magic and wonder.
You know, we were just talking about that balance between routines and spontaneity.
Uh-huh.
I think it's so important. Sometimes it's good to just try new things
Right.
and shake things up a bit.
Yeah, I agree. Routines can be really helpful, but it's also good to be flexible and just have fun.
Exactly. So how can we be more spontaneous? Do you have any ideas?
Well, you can start with small things, like maybe you take a different route to work,
Okay.
or you try a new restaurant for lunch.
Oh, those are good ideas.
Mm.
Sometimes I like to walk a different way in the park.
Yeah,
It helps me see new things.
I like that. You can also try new activities on the weekend, maybe go to a museum or take a cooking class.
Oh, that sounds fun. I've always wanted to learn how to make sushi.
You should do it. It's a great way to be spontaneous and learn something new.
You know, I think being spontaneous is also about being open to new experiences,
Uh-huh.
like saying yes to things you wouldn't normally do.
That's a great point. Maybe your friend invites you to a concert or a hiking trip.
Yeah.
Even if it's not something you usually do, just say yes and see what happens.
I like that. It's about stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
And who knows, you might discover a new passion.
exactly. Being spontaneous can lead to all sorts of exciting new experiences. It can also help you be more creative and open-minded.
This has been such a great deep dive.
Hmm.
I've learned so much about routines and how they can be so different all around the world.
Me too.
We've also talked about the importance of being spontaneous and trying new things.
Absolutely.
I hope our listeners feel inspired to look at their own routines and think about ways to make them even better. And maybe try something new today. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It was great being here.
And until next time, Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.